Hello and welcome to the NHL Best Bets. Yesterday we had a few picks. Let's go those through. Beginning here you see that Carolina played in Nashville. They had a back-to-back game there, and result was as predicted. Game was pretty much as predicted. Carolina played good offensive hockey, and they beat Nashville 4-2. One final goal was empty net, but basically first two periods, especially Carolina was the team in this matchup. Sebastian Aho, the main composer as a professor there, won 2 goals, and then the result, like I said, 4-1. And then New York Islanders, New Jersey, another game that went correct in our picks, under 5.5. Not too many goals as expected. Final result was 2-1 for New York Islanders. And even though goalies played reasonably okay, there wasn't any great amount of shots. New York Islanders shots only 20 times, and 2 of those went to goal. Tommy, no surprises this time.
Yeah, exactly as we predicted. So very good to be on the green again. There is the one line red only. So let's try to move that also to the green. In Nashville, a game was exactly as we expected. So Carolina, offensively a lot better team, managed to score early on and then maybe ran out of gas a little bit in the end. They played the night before while Nashville did not. So maybe showed a bit, but then Nashville was hunting the lead. They scored 2 goals, but Carolina took the victory, and well deserved. So good pick from us. And then in New Jersey, similar sort of thing, very close game. New Jersey could have scored maybe 1 or 2 on the power play in the second period. They had a lot of chances but couldn't convert. And then it was New York Islanders who took the spoils 1-2. But a very close game, low scoring, and that's exactly what we were expecting. Very good pick also, that one.
About other games, we were pointing out that there was some value in those road underdogs, but we discussed that maybe it's a bit too risky strategy to bet those, and that was correct opinion this time.
Yeah, it was a good thing that we raised the question from those. So they were close games, like we predicted, but the home teams were then took the spoils there. So a good selection from us not to go with those this time around. But again, if you have these sort of large odds and you have a close game, it might be worth going in the long run. But in case of our picks, maybe not so much. It was a difficult night for the system as well. Side value only 3 games correct out of the 8 possible. So a little bit of a minus there for the side value. But then on the other hand, the money lines, the favorites to win, we had only 1 incorrect pick, so goes hand in hand. And now this time money line beat the side value. So if you are looking for money line picks, this was a good night.
Yeah, sometimes favorites are the ones that are not letting us down. And I think few games that we discussed in more detail. Winnipeg played again against Vancouver. They bounced back quite convincingly by winning 5-2. So this was maybe the performance that we expected a day earlier when we picked Winnipeg to win Vancouver.
Yeah, definitely an improvement from the previous one, which was a bit of a letdown. So this is the case when you have a better team, like Winnipeg does have a better team than Vancouver. When you have lost the first one, it is likely that you will bounce back because you learn from your mistakes, and that's how you win games in the NHL.
Yeah, and then the rematch of the last year's Stanley Cup. Tampa Bay traveled to Texas, played against Dallas there, and like you said last time, Tampa is so much better team that they should be able to win this one, and for sure they did. 2-0, and now Dallas has played 2 games against Tampa without scoring a single goal, so maybe some issues in offense for Stars.
Yeah, that is becoming some sort of a boogeyman for Dallas for sure, the Tampa Bay defense. But like I said, I think Tampa Bay at the moment is the best team in the league, and it's really difficult to play against them. You don't get a lot of chances if you don't score from almost all of your A-grade scoring chances. You will not win these games. So now it was a 1-goal game. Tampa Bay then scored to the empty net, the second one. But good effort from Dallas, but this is just not meant to be because Tampa Bay was so good.
Yep. Then today we continue with the 6 games, and let's go through first our picks. Surprisingly, we have LA Kings at home against Arizona. For whatever reasons, bookmakers think that Arizona is the favorite here, but our simulations have a different opinion, and Kings have played very well. They won 6 games in a row and then lost twice in Minnesota or in St. Paul against Minnesota. And those games, especially the last one, was pretty tight in any case. And Arizona is not the level of team like Minnesota is, and Kings should take this win convincingly at home. Then Minnesota continues their trip in Vegas. They played 2 nights ago, very even game. Then overtime, Vegas took a victory after coming back from behind 2 goals in last 10 minutes. Now I think we have another goalie for Minnesota. Tommy can confirm it, but good 125 plus value for the road team here. So these are our picks for tonight.
Yeah, for the first game in the West, that's a really surprising setting of odds. I had to triple check that it was actually Los Angeles Kings who are underdogs at home against Arizona. Kings, of course, lost to Minnesota, like you said, but Minnesota is a better team than Arizona is, and Kings have been really playing in their way, a little bit similar as with your hat, you have that 2014 team, Anze Kopitar, Dustin Brown, Jeff Carter, Drew Doughty. All those guys are now playing more, they are producing more, and it looks like they found their sort of system to play with, and they are very good defensively as we expected, but now they're also able to score goals due to these older superstars, veterans leading the way. So maybe the youngsters will still have to follow, but at this point, it looks like Kings have found a way to beat the especially the one team or 2 teams that are fighting for this playoff spot at 4th. And Arizona also missing Darcy Kemper from goal, Antti Ranta, a Finnish guy who we of course root for, but hasn't played really well, has been injured a lot. So also a little issue there. Connor Garland also out from Arizona lineup. So Kings should be favored in this one, and it's a surprising set of odds.
Yeah, and when we take a look of the historical track record of Kings playing at home during the last 3 seasons, they haven't been so great, so they have win percentage only 50 at home, but when they are coming back from the road, the first game at home, the win percentage is almost 57%, so they are happy to be back in Staples Center, and that's what we are looking for right now as well.
Yeah, that's a good stat to know. Then going to the Vegas game, the last game between Vegas and Minnesota was both entertaining and really close. Too bad that we didn't get the Vegas there to win. They did take the 2 points after 5-4. But this time around, Minnesota should start Kaapo Kähkönen, a bit better goaltender at the moment than Cam Talbot, who came back from injury just a couple of nights ago. So should go for Minnesota. Also, Vegas goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury being really good this season, playing probably one of the best seasons so far in his career, but it's the 10th start for him in a row within about 3 weeks. So it probably starts to show at some point. He's 36. He's used to playing a lot, but still, I think when you play constantly night in, night out, it will show at some point. Last game already, 4 goals, past Fleury. now maybe a chance for Minnesota to get the victory as well. And with these odds, I think the game will be a lot more even than that Vegas would be such an overwhelming favorite.
Yeah, and the historical matchup between these teams in earlier seasons have favored Minnesota surprisingly. They have met 8 times, and Minnesota has won 6 of those. And on the road, the ratio is same. So 4 games, 3 won by Minnesota, 1 by Vegas. Of course, the last game changed this a bit, but we think the matchup is pretty good for Minnesota.
Yeah, they should be able to compete like they did in the last game, but now turn it over. Possibly both teams really good in overtime shootouts, winning record. Minnesota lost their first last time against Vegas, so maybe a bounce back there as well, and a revenge match in that case, in that regard as well.
How about other games? What we have here tonight? There are a few pretty good games. First, East Division, let's say old rivals. Boston plays against Washington, and then Scotia North Division. Toronto continues their trip in Alberta against Edmonton. I think 3rd time in a row now. Do you see these games as possible bets, and which team should be the one with value?
Yeah, first to the East, Boston at home against Washington. According to the simulations, it's a coin flip of a game. Washington a tad favored here, which is a bit surprising. But Boston had their bad results against the New York teams in the last 5 games, so that probably turns the tables a little bit towards Washington, who are over their slump. They had some problems as well during the season, so this is a bit surprising, but Washington has some value as a road underdog here, especially with the odds of plus 137, so it will be a really close matchup. So with those odds, I would probably take a small bet for the Capitals on the road. And then looking at the Canadian game, Edmonton-Toronto. Toronto has had the number of Oilers so far. Oilers had nothing going on offensively in those first games, so I think this might be another Toronto's matchup. It seems to be that Edmonton can't find ways to break through the Toronto defense. In this point, we do have Toronto winning for about 58% of the simulations, while the odds are pretty much even. So Toronto has value still, even if it is possible that Edmonton is going to bounce back from those horrible losses.
Yeah, it's interesting that guys who have been leading the point statistics for a while now, McDavid and Draisaitl, how they have been shut down. And basically they I think scored previous like a week ago or so, and that's quite unheard when you are talking about these two guys that simulations are predicted to have 2 points per game.
Yeah, and adding insult to injury, Toronto has played their 3rd string keeper, Hutchinson, and he managed to shut out all those guys. So a pretty bad beat for Oilers at the time. Toronto is playing really brilliant defensively at the moment. They're not even trying to outskate the McDavids and the Draisaitls, but they're boxing the A grade goal scoring chances pretty well off. So there hasn't been a lot of chances for Oilers, and then of course the goaltenders need to play really well in order to keep these guys in 0 goals.
Then the last 2 games, big road favorites, St. Louis in Anaheim, Colorado in San Jose. Last games when these teams played, San Jose was beating Colorado quite surprisingly, and then maybe as predicted, maybe too many goals. St. Louis won Anaheim 5-4 in previous game. Do you think the road Warriors here with quite poor odds but high probabilities will win?
Yeah, I do think so that it's time for a bounce back for Colorado, especially they didn't play very well against San Jose last time. Of course, the score maybe not reflecting completely how the game went, but still, Colorado is a better team. After a heavy loss, I think they can regroup and like I've said before many times, watch some video, find out how to counter how San Jose managed to beat them last time, and probably gonna be a lot better in this game. The simulation thinks so as well. We have about 71% of the simulations going for the road team here, as compared to the odds, which are around 65%. So good value for heavy favorites on the road, Colorado. Similar sort of situation in Anaheim, where St. Louis is playing. They have now allowed a lot of goals. They have been able to score a lot of goals, which is pretty unheard of from St. Louis, but they have won the game, so that's the most important thing. And I think against Anaheim, they can also win with the defensive mindset. So I do believe that St. Louis will take another win here. The simulations agree with me with 64% of the simulations going to the road team, while the odds are around 57%. So like you said, there is value for these heavy favorites on the road as well.
Yeah, I think when St. Louis went back to road and they have started to play and especially score, like you said, in home they were struggling both scoring and defensive, and I think they got 3 or 4 games losing streak when they're playing at home, but on the road they seem to have find their stride. And when we take a look of the historical track record, they have been also a pretty good team. By winning 53 and 3% on the road games during the last 3 seasons. But interesting is that it's only 50% when they are playing more than third road game. So let's see if they can break this record, or if there is still some fatigue on the road after a few wins.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup anyway, because St. Louis's way of changing it up, like you said, they played a bit different game at home, and then on the road, it looks like they are having some sort of laboratory going on how to win games. But they found their way to win in different ways. So let's see how this game ends up.
Will do, and naturally we are back tomorrow with new picks, and it's another good night of hockey ahead of us.
Yeah, have a good night.